What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Welcome to the Essential Credentials Podcast, episode 66. Really excited today. We've got Richard Black, the CEO of Superior Fit Sleeves here, the one, the only. Super excited to have him here. And of course, I'm joined by Gregory. How's it going, Greg?
Very good, very good. The man himself, Superior Fits. All of my magnetics, my top loaders are filled by the sleeves of that man up there. So I'm super excited to interview him. Alan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm also equally excited. Don't have to manufacture any enthusiasm. I use Perfect Fits or Superior Fit sleeves exclusively. It's changed the way I collect, and I actually had a discussion with you guys recently about whether to put my collection in binders or top loaders. And the only reason top loaders are even in play is because of the Superior Fit sleeves that go over those to make them seem like they're almost in a slab. In a small slab. So that's cool.
Well, and I have to give Greg some credit. I was telling Richard when we did a little pre-show interview that Greg was the one that sent out a picture or a message to all of us. And he goes, "Hey, I'm using these sleeves and they work really well." And that was it. That's all she wrote.
So let me tell the quick story about that. Is I bought a card on eBay and it was in the Superior sleeve, and I received it and I looked at it and I was like, "What is this? What do I have? What is this? How do I get this?" And so I messaged the guy and I said, "Hey, what is this sleeve that you just put my card in?" And at the time you had Perfect Fit, and he said, "This is a Perfect Fit sleeve." And I said, where did you get this from? And he said, "Well, I ordered them." And at that point, I think I ordered 200 or 300, and that was it from there. It was just a game changer for me. So I'm so grateful, so grateful for those sleeves.
Excellent.
Richard, what's it like when you hear comments like this? I mean, I know you on your website, you have people that leave comments and reviews, but I mean, to hear this from collectors themselves, it's got to make you pretty happy, right?
Makes me proud. Yeah. It gives me a good feeling that I was able to provide something for an industry that they needed, and I basically hit it on the head. I'm an entrepreneur by heart.
Okay.
And I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and so I was searching for something my whole life where I could add something to something. It's weird, but that's how entrepreneurs think. It's not necessarily they have to be totally involved in anything. They just have to find something that needs to be filled.
That's actually a question I wanted to ask you about, which is that, I collected for many years, and what was on the market before you arrived was just, it was good enough. It wasn't great, but that's all you had, so you really had no choice. You had a couple of companies to choose from. They didn't fit right. They were kind of floppy on the sides. They would get really bent really easily. And it just sort of changed what was possible and what wasn't. But nobody actually went ahead and did anything about it. Nobody actually went ahead and said, "Hey, actually, can we do something a little bit better?" So you said you're entrepreneurial, but like, were you involved in the hobby all along? Like, how did you get into, where did you come up with the idea of doing this?
Well, good question, because actually I am not a card collector. Believe it or not, everybody, I'm not a card collector. I can show you what I do collect. I am a collector. But
Okay.
I was, as an entrepreneur, I was buying and selling hockey card collections. And when I gathered them up, and I'm looking at these top loaders, mags, slabs, or what have you, and I'm going, these are a mess, right? They're all scratched up, or they're dirty, or you can, in some cases, you can barely see the card. I'm going, something's wrong here. and I'm going, there's got to be a solution to this, right? And lo and behold, I was going to a flea market, every Sunday, and there was a fella there who was selling cards, and he showed me this top loader one, or I was looking at a card because I was buying and selling cards, and I was looking at this card, and it had a sleeve on it that fit perfectly. I go, "Where'd you get these?" And I'm not going to tell you where you got them, but
competitor.
Yeah, that's right.
but they fit the top loader perfectly. Then bang, right in my head. It just went from there.
Yep.
And as far as the tapered flap, I am the originator, and I'm not overly what do you call it? Anyway, can't find
Design
the word.
engineer, change the game, right? I mean, it's a big deal to have that seal around without having that extra plastic. It makes a
Right.
difference in storage and cleanliness of how
Well,
you.
yeah, when I was putting over the sleeves, and I'm going, well, it's messy up here, the top. And I go, there's got to be a solution to that. Bang. Of course there was.
Right. It works so good because, I've had a few that go just perfectly flat that line up that aren't tapered off, and those edges always get messed up. And so what you have is like genius because you don't have to worry about dealing with those overlap. I think that's I love the tapered edges. That's perfect.
Well, and he was telling me
that's
too,
what-
like that it didn't start that way, right? You didn't have a company that made them that way to begin with, correct?
Okay.
Oh yeah, every single sleeve when I first started for the first 3 years, I actually cut myself
Oh wow.
these angles.
Wow.
So you did every one yourself.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course
wow.
you don't do them one by one.
Right.
Wow.
But yeah, that's what I was doing, and as I was telling Matt before the show came on, is I truly believe that the Lord gave me all my ideas, and they all came in perfect timing as far as the growth of the company. And right at the time that I could no longer keep up to the cutting, I was able to find factories that would do it for me. Up until that point, I was searching for factories to do it for me, and I could not find one. But there was the time where the timing was perfect. I mean, I could keep up, with the orders, cutting them myself.
Right.
But then that time came where I no longer could. But that exact same time, I found the factories that would work with me and do the cutting of the flaps.
How long ago was that when you found the factory?
That was 19. That was 19. So from 15 to 19, I was cutting them all myself.
Okay. All right.
So now everybody that has my sleeves, you can know that I touched them all.
I feel bad about throwing. I mean, like having to replace half of them now. You know what I mean? Like he actually touched all these. Should have kept one.
I still have some from 4 years ago because your collection changes, right? So the way you decide to store your cards changes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was doing hockey and putting a lot of stuff in thicker Ultra Pro one-touch cases. So I needed something that would fit those, and so I bought a lot of those. But then I switched to a totally different sport, different collecting strategy, and I don't need that size anymore. So I have a whole bunch of those sort of left over. So I have artifact from the early days, hand cut.
I think I might have one. I think I might have one.
You remember me as perfect fit.
I can't even actually square superior fit. I still call it perfect fit in my head. And
You
that's,
guys, I called it that so many times when we were talking on
Yeah.
what was it, Saturday. I felt bad. I literally said it probably 10 times, but that's what we called it. That's what, when it was on eBay, we were buying them all from eBay.
Yeah, they were a perfect fit. I personally messaged Richie Rich to get some. I think there was some type of replacement issue or something, and he emailed me almost immediately and corrected the issue. And I thought, this guy is on top of his game. I will use this product from here on out. And to this day, that was probably 2018, 19 easily. And to this day, it's been nonstop. And when people ask me, what sleeve do you have? What is this? I pass on the message. I say, this is, at the time, perfect fit, now superior fit. So I make sure to pass on the message. And that's what you were relaying. Like, you don't need advertisement. You need word of mouth. Your product speaks for itself.
Right.
I mean, you said you're an entrepreneur, which makes sense because I remember there was a time when the orders, they overwhelmed the supply that you had, right? And you were very clear and upfront about why there was a supply chain issue, how long it was going to take, and that you were going to take care of us as soon as you reloaded your inventory. Mm-hmm. And so the customer service was always top notch. And it did seem like it was somebody who sort of just started the business out of nowhere. So it seemed like a business you could trust, and the customer service has been great. And that's one of the hallmarks, I feel like, of the company. But why did you switch your name from Perfect Fit to Superior?
Well, that's an interesting story. One Friday night, I got an email saying that that Perfect Fit was trademarked, and this is 5 years after I've already been in business, right? And I'm going, oh shoot! And that was sort of caught me off guard, but it was a Friday night, and so I wrote him back immediately and said, okay, well, are you interested in selling the trademark, right?
Yeah.
And I figured, well, if the guy's, legit and whatnot, he'd get right back to me and say yay or nay. But he didn't get back to me. So, and he demanded that I take all my products down off eBay and that I take down my website. With all the Perfect Fit on it. So I thought, oh, well, I'm not taking my stuff off eBay. And so I contacted my friend and we threw some names around and we came up with Superior, right? Superior Fit. But I was going to give the guy at least until the end of Saturday to do something, right? To get back to me about the Perfect Fit. Maybe I purchased the trademark. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. So away I go on eBay. I just changed out Perfect Fit. I put in Superior Fit, took down my website. I even announced that the website would be down for up to 2 weeks and whatnot. It actually only ended up being down for a week, but or maybe not even a week. And I just changed everything from Perfect Fit to Superior Fit. And I was up and running, within a week, again, as Superior Fit. And then the guy emails me, I think the following Thursday, and said he was interested in selling Perfect Fit. And I didn't even answer him.
Too late.
You already made your move. You already made the move.
Yeah. And immediately I put into motion trademarking Superior Fit.
Naturally.
Yeah.
All right.
And so that's registered. That's why you got the R on the on my logo and what have you.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to do if you got a name that you don't want somebody else either scooping up or what have you. It's a good idea to trademark it. It's a little lengthy trip and costs some money, but then that's what business is all about. You got to pay. You got to spend money to make money.
Absolutely. I was thinking about trademarking Hulk Hogan.
Or the essential credentials. I think you think we have any luck with that?
Yeah.
I don't think he'd have much luck with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I'm on the fence.
Maybe
let me
Dr.
ask,
Doom's not taken. I don't know.
Dr. Doom might be okay.
What's his actual name?
Terry Bollea.
Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, Terry Bollea.
Okay, well, I think Terry might have something to say about it.
Greg
Well, let
actually
me
got to meet. Sorry, Greg, but I just have to mention you got a chance to like meet him for a split second.
Kinda. We were at the National. I had just got Barry Sanders' autograph, and I went to JSA at the National. They have the JSA certification booth. So I was waiting in line, and there was a curtain to the right, and everybody was waiting patiently, but a 6-year-old. This 6-year-old, he kept poking his head through the curtain, and then as soon as he poked his head, I heard a "Hey, brother," and I heard the noise, and I thought, "Hey, brother," I know, "Hey, brother." So I looked, and I poked my head through the curtain, and it was Hulk Hogan, and he was walking to do his autographs, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he was like, "Hey, brother," and he punched me in the arm.
Oh, boy.
And at that point, I had wrestled Hulk Hogan. So that was a great moment in my personal collection history at the 2019 National, which I went with Alan and Matt too. So that was a good moment with Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I'm going to steal his trademark, obviously now.
All right, sorry about that, Greg. I just had to bring that up, dude, because it's too good of a story not to share. Anyway, go for it.
So I had a question. How many iterations of the sleeve did you have before you finally figured out what you wanted to do?
How many generations?
Yeah, how many iterations? Like I imagine you had one and you're like, no, this isn't right. Let me do it this way. So how many generations of the sleeve did you have before you figured out like this is the one, I'm going to start selling them?
Well, I started with top loaders and the graded card sleeves.
Okay.
Do you mean the design or what?
Yeah, just like the way it was shaped, the cut, like before you realize.
That was the first design and only design.
Oh, so one and done.
One and done. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
The only issue was, well, I mean, the two issues was fit and that.
Okay.
The sealing of the cards. Those were the two issues, and those two were the ones that I tackled and were doable.
Perfect.
What about the plastic types too? We had that discussion when we found out you were going to come on here, and Greg was quite excited to find that. He's smiling because he knows. But like, how many different materials did you use, or did you try before this was the one that you came up with? Because imagine you got some samples sent your way, right? Before you.
I got some samples, but they were all the same. I mean, it's just BOPP material.
Okay.
Excuse me. That comes in different thicknesses, and the 40 microns, which is what is the industry standard. That's what I went with. Though I do now have premium, which is 60 microns, which is 50% thicker.
Okay.
Right. I was mulling the fact of going totally 50 microns, but I thought, no, that doesn't make much sense because I'll stay at 40 and still have the premiums, right?
Okay. So you said, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to ask, were you measuring the other companies, the competitors? Were you measuring what they had and you wanted to do something similar or better, or did you just go off of your own measurement?
Oh no, I didn't touch their stuff.
Okay.
I just took the case and I said, okay, I'm going to fit this, and like a top loader or what have you. Oh, let me grab my top loaders. Forgot those.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great question that you're asking. I was going to ask a similar one, which is how did you figure out what thickness to use for
Yeah.
collectors, we obsess over it, right? I mean, we're
Right.
putting the sleeves in, putting them out, folding them over, seeing how they roll, seeing how they bend. So for us,
So in my mind, I'm going to go through like 12 generations before I actually get this right. And you
right,
saying it's one and done. That's
and
awesome.
done, nailed it.
Yeah, one top loader.
Mhm.
I measured. Obviously, I measured it, and I came within a micromillimeter of each dimension and go from there. But then you got to understand, factories actually with these sleeves, or they call them bags because they don't know they're sleeves.
Mhm.
Um, they they their policy is the tolerance is anywhere from 2 to 5 millimeters,
Interesting.
right? And guess what?
That can
That
make a
doesn't
huge
work
difference.
for me.
Yeah.
So, so I scoured Canada and the U.S., the great nation of the USA, to the factories, and I said, "This is what I want. This is what I'm doing, and can you meet my requirements?" And not one would meet my requirements. They said, "Nope. The tolerance is there, and that's what we deal with." So I had to go to China,
Wow.
unfortunately, and even they first started. They go, "Well, we can't do that. There's tolerance." And I said, "Well, um, I can't deal with the tolerance. You got to make them as close as humanly possible to the measurements that I require." And I found some factories that were willing to work with me. And there we got it. And that's where they come from.
Wow.
That's fascinating because for the industry leader before you arrived on the scene, their sleeves are way too big for everything. So if
Right.
there were tolerance issues, which I'm sure there were, given what you're telling us, we would never have noticed because it didn't fit perfectly. But if these things fit perfectly, you cannot have much deviation other than just maybe 1 or 2 microns, I would assume. Otherwise, you're going to have sleeves that people are going to complain about that don't fit, right? Which I'm sure you encountered.
Which I have. And I have boxes of sleeves that I cannot sell. I mean, but that's part of business, right?
Right.
And it's part of doing business with the factories. And they work with me, and they either compensate me in some form, or or we work something out. And but it works good. I have good relationships with the factories, and hopefully they don't start selling on the side my idea. But hey, it can happen. I didn't patent the sleeves, so they probably wouldn't have been patentable anyway, because sleeves are sleeves. I mean, I guess you could patent that you cut off the corners, but then again, there's no guarantee, right?
Right. So you mentioned being an entrepreneur. Did you have any other before this? Did you have any other projects that you can speak of? Any attempts? Anything that you were
Well, I
working
mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was in my 20s. So, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am now,
on? Okay.
but you can guess. Um, but I mean, I even had a little business where I installed peepholes in the doors
Okay.
and stuff like that.
I'm interested. Go on.
Me and my and carpet cleaning, and and of course, as an entrepreneur, you try some sales jobs, right? Vacuum cleaning sales, water purifying sales. I mean, the list goes on and on. And
Yeah.
The only other venture I had, where I had an actual 3,000 square foot woodworking shop,
Okay.
and I used to, or I started making cedar gift wood boxes, like
Nice.
for wine, the wine bottles.
Mhm.
And I had the interlocking um, connections
Corners.
on the boxes.
Okay.
Also, the big seller was the smoked salmon boxes. You know, the thin
Like that.
boxes,
Love
right?
some salmon. Love some
And we
salmon.
and I even had a silk screening set up, UV back in the day. That was in the 90s, and UV printing, and so the printing was immediate. It was dry, and you know the Indian native Indian artwork on the boxes, you know, that type of thing.
Okay.
And that actually evolved into me making, believe it or not, during the 90s, there was a real craze for cigars, right? And so I ended up making cigar boxes for a lot of the American cigar guys. But that, what you call it, that market got saturated. And everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, was selling cigars. And so that got that went by the wayside, and the whole company just went down the tube on the fifth year. And interestingly enough, I think you probably have heard that if a company makes it past its fifth year, they're good to go. But it's in the first 5 years that a company is either going to make it or break it. And it was right before the fifth year that I just went down the tube.
Oh, so what's your year for Superior Fit? How many years?
Well, I started late 14, like really late.
Okay.
November.
So you're there.
Yeah, 14.
Wow.
So now it's 22.
Yeah.
We're there, but you know, anything can happen. Right?
I'm really curious too, because I asked him this early on when we started talking. It was like, what was the COVID boom like for you and your company? Because we all thought, I had a conversation with Alan and Greg. I said, everybody's going to sell everything. Watch, because people don't know if they're going to be working. That did happen. But what also happened is everyone was buying, like 3 times as many people as usual was buying, and the prices went crazy. So I was curious too, like the demand for your products had to have been at an all-time high. Was it like, you know, super crazy, or was it just nice and steady for you?
It's always been nice and steady, and I think I got a real boost when can I remember his name? The ball player.
Which one?
What was his name?
Phil Hughes. Phil
that's
Foles. Yep.
Oh,
Phil Hughes did a video, like just out of the goodness of his heart, because he liked the product, and he did a review, and my sales just went. Going, wow, that's pretty cool, and so I really appreciated it. I wish we had kept in contact and something could have kept going, but he has other things happening, and that's okay. You know, he's got good things going for himself, and I'm happy for him. But I really appreciate what he did for me, and he definitely introduced an awful lot of collectors to our sleeves, and I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Well, the company's humming along now, and it sounds like it's it's very, very healthy. But as an entrepreneur, you must know better than most what it's like to have to compete out there. And you're the best in class. There's no product out there that's better than yours, so that's a huge advantage. But have you ever worried or considered what would happen if one of the previous industry leaders come in and try to take away some of your market share? Like, how do you guard against that, do you think? Because there are probably bigger corporations out there. There's a lot more money in the hobby now. Are you at all worried that they're going to come and try to steal some of your ideas?
They already have. So it doesn't bother me so much. I mean, like I said, you know, I could have tried to patent that flap thing, and how could you couldn't patent perfect fit. I mean, that's, you know, how can you patent a perfect fit? The only thing you could have possibly have patented was the angles, But I had already been selling for well over a year before I even got the idea of patenting. And I didn't realize that once a product's been in the market for over a year, you can't patent, right?
I didn't know that.
As far as the future is concerned, I'll leave it in the Lord's hand. That's the best I can do, right?
I mean, you've made a lot of hobbyists very, very happy already, right? I mean, this is not something that we had conceived of or imagined 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was before you showed up. There was a comment here, I didn't know if you saw it, where somebody said the old sleeves would bunch up in the row boxes, and they would all just get so jammed up and wrinkled. It just makes, for people who love cards as much as we do, we love looking at them, right? And so it's an eyesore every time we took it out. And that's not a problem anymore. That's a really disruptive move you made in the industry. Now, whether you continue to dominate as you have, or you have some competitors that come up and try to fight you for it, you made a huge change. You made a change in a lot of hobbyists' lives. So at a minimum, that should come as some satisfaction to you.
Absolutely. That's why I put on all my labels. Oh, except for this one.
That one. There's one.
Oops, where are we here? Can you see that?
Yep.
The original.
Indeed.
They're
That's
original. The one and only.
Right? And I had a choice, and I asked my friend, I said, should I put the originator or the original?
Well, I think we all know that you are the originator, though, right? I mean,
The
those of us
original.
that use it, yeah.
The one
No,
and
because there are other cut flap sleeves out there, but I've gotten reviews or comments on those, and they still come back to me. So.
Oh, well, that's fascinating. I mean, your thought process is fascinating. There are lots of hobbyists who sort of passed on some of the questions over to us for us to ask you. I'll just put the first one that came up on our feed here. It looks like Greg EF wasn't able to stay up because he's on the East Coast. But we haven't moved to this topic yet. But I think it would lead well to it. But please discuss why the Superior Fit top loaders are as clear as they are, as opposed to the blue tinted top loaders from the hobby leaders.
I had a choice. To go clear or blue tint. I didn't even know. Like I said, I'm not a card collector. I didn't even realize or know that the top loaders were tinted blue. Right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, why on earth would I want a tinted blue card or top loader? Right? And so I said, well, I want clear. So I had the factory, make me clear ones. And just so everybody knows, since the top loaders are up. So the simple fact is it was just personal preference for me that, I would, if I had cards, and I do have cards. It's not that I don't collect cards specifically, but I do have a lot of cards. I mean, if I'm going to put a card in the top loader, I want to see it. I don't want it being tinted. But anyways, here's my
so you have a sleeve on each side of the top loader, correct? Or
exactly. That's why it's not all that clear right now.
Right? Because you have a peel so that everybody can choose to peel the top loader and make it visible as they see fit. They can make that choice.
Well, I didn't know about until leading up to our discussion.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice because I feel like I have the first view of my card because I put my card in the top loader and then I peel it and then I get the first view. It's not scratched. It's perfectly concealed until I choose. And that
Look at that.
Cool.
It's a brilliant idea. It really is. I'm so anal about the quality of my covers. Sometimes I pack, and they're all scratched, but there's no way you can see it because it's just one cellophane wrap around like 20 top loaders, right? So if you buy a lemon, that's it. They're all scratched. There's a problem with it.
Yeah,
Alan, this is right up your alley, my friend, because any of us that watch your videos, obviously we do. We know how much you care about the quality of your cards. This is the way to go. I mean, this is, in my opinion. Richard, thanks again for sending a few our way, but man, I really enjoyed putting a couple cards in there and be like, all right, put it straight into the Superior Fit sleeve. This is as perfect as it's going to look. You can't find anything better. You know,
at that point, it doesn't get any better. You peel it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I forgot my card.
Which one did you choose this time?
Who is this? This is Nolan.
The Express.
There he is.
Oh, no, Ryan.
Nice.
Yep.
The man.
Anyway,
So when you started the company, did you have a startup fund? Did you need people to invest in you? What happened with that?
no, I'm self-invested.
Okay.
I started small, and I just kept putting basically all the money right back in. Right.
Okay. So do you have a supportive wife,
By the way,
family?
Before we go any further, I just wanted to make mention: if you buy our top loaders, you also get the sleeves with the package.
Perfect. That's a perfect fit.
Nice. There it is.
So you get 50. God, where do you put this?
We've all been there, man. We've
Yeah.
had to learn. Don't worry.
Opposite of reality.
I always ask, where do I put it?
Okay. Anyway, and then
Yeah.
I don't know why. There we go. So you get 50 top loader sleeves and 50 card sleeves as well in the package.
That's awesome. That's an awesome combo package. How
Yeah.
could you want any more?
Love it. No, and when we show your website here in a few, we'll show everybody where to find those too.
Yeah.
Because you've recently added those to your website, so that's awesome. Yep, I can't wait for these guys to try it. That's gonna be great.
So you sleeve the top loader immediately. Where are you? Look at that! You can't even see the difference.
Yeah.
Nope.
Ah!
Super clear.
There you go. Right there.
Clear.
Right.
It looks great. Looks super clear, crystal clear. I can see it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea because, like Alan said, how many times, like especially when during COVID, we were all sitting at home, ordered like 100 top loaders,
Yep,
like that
nothing
big
better.
Ultra Pro pack of 100 of them, and like halfway in, you just got this slice, and it's on like 30 of them in a row. You're like,
Oh,
oh my
my.
gosh. Yeah, I mean, like Alan said, lemons. You're like, well, my money's already been spent, and the price of those has just, it was super high for a bit. So I mean, you were kind of stuck with them, but that pretty much ensures that they're going to be perfect,
Right.
as good as it's going to come. That's awesome. Are there any other like newer products that you're really excited about besides the top loaders that you've just come up with, or
Well,
coming out
yeah,
soon?
and I think all my customers saw these on my video, but we have our snap slabs for your
There we go.
and
can you see that or what?
oh yeah.
Marcus
Okay.
Naslund.
I'm so glad I got another hockey fan in here. It makes me so happy. I mean, when I got to ask Alan and Greg, like your impressions of seeing these for the first time, you definitely were curious when we were talking about it in the chat, right?
Right.
Yes. So
Absolutely. For me, I'm sorry. It's a solution to a problem that a lot of collectors have, which is that the super thick one touches are really heavy. So I've been thinking about converting most of my cards to a slab, but slabs are very expensive. Even if you just go through a third party grader, and you don't get an actual numerical grade, it's still way more expensive than even a one touch case of magnetic.
Mhm.
So
Right.
this is a solution to a problem that a lot of us are having. I'm personally seeing these for myself, so I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you personally whether I use them or recommend them, but I think it's a great thing that you are constantly thinking about new things that hobbyists could use that you could offer us.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah, that brings. Go
I
ahead.
know they. Sorry,
No, go
I
ahead.
know
Richard.
they sell the slabs on eBay, but you have to glue them and or have a machine to seal them. These are not sealed; these are snapped together, like the old the snap cases that
Yeah.
Mhm.
we once used. But these work perfectly. I love them. I mean, if I was a card collector, I'd be putting all my favorite cards in these, and and you get an insert.
This thing right here.
Yeah, the insert, and you can make up your own labels. I made some simple ones, as you can see, just the Canucks emblem and the card info.
And as we were talking too, we really like the idea of like the customization with the label. You know, if you get some sort of like silvery foil for the label or whatever, but you can really make your collection uniform, which I think is awesome when you want to customize it, but also make it look similar. You know, rather than using 50 different styles of labels for your cards.
Yeah. So I have a PSA graded briefcase, and I only put graded cards in there. But if I had some snap slabs, I would be able to put cards in the snap slabs along with my PSA graded stuff or my VGS graded stuff, and they would all feel kind of uniform.
Yeah.
Which is what as a collector I ultimately want is everything to be uniform, whether it's top loader, mags, one touches, screw downs, PSA, BGS. I all want it to be uniform. So you're giving collectors the option of putting their cards in a snap slab, which they can back up to PSA and having just a briefcase. So that's a smart idea. It's good to build upon that.
Exactly.
And I will say I sent Alan and Greg a video of me putting a card in here and just seeing how clear these are. I mean,
Yeah.
you put the card in here with the label, and then you get the Superior Fit sleeves to go right over them, and you've got it, sealed up and looking beautiful. And so it was not hard to figure out the most efficient way to open these. And so I think the learning curve would be not difficult. It would not be a steep learning curve at all for people to kind of get into the
Well,
groove.
I tried to pack them so that they're easy to deal with.
Yeah, I liked it. This one.
Pack them like this,
Mm-hmm.
and one side is open.
Okay.
So that leads me to a question somebody's asked me, and that is, you have the snap slabs, so you're moving on to different kinds of things, different sized options. So people have the 3x5 postcards. What are your thoughts on some type of case for that 3x5?
3x5 postcards.
Yeah, people have signed postcards, stadium giveaways. A lot of oddball stuff is 3x5. So I've had a few people ask me to ask you if you have any plans for a 3x5.
Well, is that a 3x5 top loader you're talking about, or
Yeah. So
slab, or what?
a 3x5 top loader and a 3x5 sleeve, something to protect the postcard or the giveaway. because it seems that there is not an option right now for a 3x5 sleeve.
Well, maybe I should look into that. If you're talking top loaders, then that's easy. I just have to find one in hand, right?
Yeah.
If it's in the top loader. If it's the card itself, then it's a card sleeve, right?
Yeah. So again, the question was brought about more of the 3x5. I think ultimately there's no 3x5 sleeves. There might be some options for 3x5 top loaders, but ultimately I think the collectors I've spoken with are wanting some type of 3x5 sleeve for their signed postcards. So I'm thinking that's maybe something that is untapped right now that's not been addressed for those types of collectors.
Right. Yeah, no, I guess I probably will grab a 3x5 postcard and go from there.
Okay, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna write that down now. 3x5 postcards, card sleeves.
yeah.
Actually, I don't actually have sleeves for the top loaders either for the 3x5s.
Yeah.
I do for the 4x6 and I do for the 5x7, I think it is.
Yeah. So I'm looking at
for the top loaders, not for the actual cards, but the top loaders.
Okay. I'm looking at the messages that were sent to me, and it is the 3x5 sleeves they were asking about. Apparently, they have quite a few 3x5 postcards that are out, but nobody really. They have some type of storage, but they don't have sleeves for the 3x5. So I think that might be untapped. I don't know the percentage of people that are ordering it, but I do know that there is a market for it because I've been asked a few times about the 3x5 sleeves.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that will be on my list. As
Perfect.
there's a whole lot. I get asked different sizes all the time. Some sizes are so obscure.
I'm sure.
It's not worth it because I mean there's minimums from factories and
Right.
you don't want stock sitting around for 10 years.
Yeah, I get that. Some of the stadium giveaways I think are also 3x5.
Mm-hmm.
So the postcards and the stadium giveaways, I think that might be something that 3x5 may be something that's worth looking into.
Well, I'm glad he does the 4x6s because a lot of the Formula One signed postcards are all 4x6s from overseas. So I'm like, hey, there we go. I've never really bought one, and now I can protect it perfectly.
Right.
Awesome.
I was going to say I love the response though, Richard, to the question because you haven't really done the market research yet to know whether it's economical, feasible for you to be able to produce those for the people who collect it. I'm sure that'll come, but back when I used to order your sleeves. In the old days, you used to send out a sampler pack of different products. I don't know if that's the case because the last time I ordered thousands of top loaders. So, I'm still working through them. I haven't ordered in a while because I ordered enough for a bomb shelter.
Right.
But when I ordered them before, you sent samples so that I could test all of them. And some of the products I liked and some of the products I didn't. And then you could tell what worked for you given what the orders were like when they came in. But regardless, you could tell that you put a lot of thought into the experience of the collector as they opened your package, looked at your product, and evaluated whether to use it or not, right? Because it's not like the only product out there. There's plenty of other competitors that people could go to. So the only way you can win is by offering the best product, and that's what you did. So.
I liked doing that, but I no longer have time to put those together.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Great back then. I still remember that. Just didn't know you were still doing that.
No.
You got one. You got two of each, right?
Yeah, you got two of each. I actually, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, and I was buying and selling cards, and so I was still selling cards when the sleeve idea came up, and I used to send a pack with every card that I sold, right? Interestingly enough, I didn't get a whole lot of response. but
Which is surprising too, because you would think some hobby shops would want to start like, hey, word of mouth. The collector comes in and says, "Have you seen these sleeves?" And the hobby shop goes, "Hey, we need to get these in our shops." I mean, that's a little surprising that, as you were telling me before, that was not necessarily the case, right?
well, that's happening now.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah, that's happening now. And I do have there's not a lot, but there's some guys that purchase big bulk orders. I even have a guy overseas buys bulk orders and sells in his local area. And my policy for reselling is that all the power to you. If you pay my prices, deal with me and perhaps I can give you a little discount. But there's not a whole lot of margin. And I'll tell you why there's not a whole lot of margin. When I first started, I actually contacted hundreds of stores with my idea, and I didn't get one.
Shocking.
Right.
That really is bizarre.
I can't believe that, actually. I mean, I can, obviously, because I believe you, but it's difficult to believe that would be the case, especially since I have to say, I hear what you're saying with the margins not being that great, but you have a really affordable price point too. You know what I mean? Nobody's said these are too expensive. I can't afford to store my collection this way. It's just like, this is a totally sustainable thing for the rest of our collecting lives. You know what I mean? Like, we already know that this is the well we're going to go back to. So you could actually charge a little bit more if you wanted to. You probably already thought about that.
Well, I did. I haven't raised prices for 2 years now. And so it's possible, but it would be minimal.
Yeah.
Well, so when you open an eBay package, what does your card put in? Superior Fit.
Right.
When you get the card, it's usually in some type of either a team bag, generic, or Superior Fit. You're gonna see it, and it's become like a staple for selling almost, because you put it in the cardboard sandwich, but it's also in the Superior Fit, and it just seems like a common sense kind of move nowadays, where people put their sales items in the Superior Fit. So it just more and more I see it when I buy 20, 30 cards a month, and it seems like 90% of them are in a Superior Fit or something similar. So it's catching on too quick. I think it's just gonna keep going up. I think people are gonna be very well invested in that, because when you sell a card and mail it out, you want to keep it secure, and the best way to do that, I think, is in one of your sleeves.
I still remember the first time I saw one of your sleeves. I bought a PSA graded slab, and before they were just in the previous sleeves, they were just floppy. But you got used to that. You go into an LCS, you go to a card shop, you ask the owner, "Hey, I have one touches, I have slabs. Can you show me what sleeves are out there?" And it's just one size fits all.
Right.
So, and that one card that I got, it was a Barry Bonds card because I'm a Bonds collector, came in and the sleeve fit perfectly. And I just looked at it for a second. I was like, what is this? Like from the company that I know, I actually emailed the eBay person back and asked them what it was. And they said, "Oh, it's a perfect fit." I was like, okay, I never heard of them, let me go see if I can find them, because these are awesome. So,
you want to see something really cool?
Absolutely.
We even got sleeves for these huge slabs.
Wow.
magazine size?
No, that's an 8x10, I think.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a photo.
And that's what you got to do. You're making sleeves for everything that people collect, because everybody collects something. And if you have a sleeve for it, you're gonna be making money selling them.
I gotta set Richard up for this one. Richard, do you remember when we were talking? There was a specific one. Yep, he's got it. There it is.
Oh,
good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Spider-Man.
Now, Greg, do you have any of these, by the way? Have you used the comic book ones yet?
Nope, I have not. I would be very interested. I did not know you had some CGC slabs. I would be very interested in some cases or some sleeves for those.
Well, they're very, very popular.
Okay.
Everybody,
Well,
everybody who's got these, they love them.
okay. Well, I'm very, very interested.
There's a video out there, or actually, if you go on the my website and on the any of the listings for these, there's a video on the bottom.
Okay.
If you scroll down towards the bottom, there's a video of a guy who reviewed them, and he just loves them. I think it's the Comic Hunter. You might know that.
Yep, there it is. I have it right here, actually. So there's the product right here,
Perfect.
and then down here, there is the video right there.
Nice. I
Awesome.
do not mind giving those a shot because I have a lot of CGC comics that don't have any kind of sleeves. So I would be very interested in that.
Yeah, and it doesn't take away from the comic at all. It's just as clear as the card sleeves.
Perfect.
Not that that's too surprising to hear or anything. Let's be honest, seeing how awesome they are already. Now, Richard, do you want to? How long was your company going before you decided to make the website? Because as Greg mentioned before, the three of us ordered off eBay at first, but
Right.
how long was it until you got this going?
I had that since day one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to have Perfect Fit Sleeve. Used to be perfectfitsleeves.com.
Okay.
And then again, I had to change it to Superior Fit.
Mm-hmm.
I still own perfectfitsleeves.com, and it's forwarded to superiorfitsleeves.com. By the way, the funny thing is, if you do a Google search for Perfect Fit PSA sleeves, I'm number one, even though you use Perfect Fit.
Awesome.
But Superior is superior to perfect.
Obviously.
So that's kind of cool.
I wanted to back up to one detail you talked about earlier, which is you said you were going to release maybe a premium line of sleeves, because I'll admit that when I first used your top loader sleeves, I personally didn't like them because I wasn't used to the way the plastic wrapped around the top loader, because it curled around the top loader. But then as I got used to them, I realized as you put them in row boxes, those curls, they smash into sort of the perfect shape of a top loader, and it actually fits. It ends up fitting the top loader perfectly. It just takes a day or maybe just a couple of hours
Right.
for the plastic to be pressed flat. So it's actually the perfect texture of plastic. Whereas the previous industry leader, it was a lot more pliable plastic, so it bent a lot easier. It didn't curl, it wasn't as stiff. So I was wondering, do you have a line of sort of premium plastics? And what is the
Matt, if you go back to my website, I don't in the top loaders, but if you go to the graded cards sleeves, scroll down, you'll see that I do have the premium, which is, like I mentioned earlier, I believe, which are the 60 micron, which is 50% thicker. Right?
And what does that do? I wish I could have seen it and experienced it and used it, but how does that feel differently when you wrap it around the slab?
Oh, here we go.
It's preference, right? I mean, it feels like a more protection, but it's preference. I mean, it might not feel as secure to you or what have you. I mean, I do sell a lot of them, and I've had very little complaints about them, if any.
Darn, I have none. I bought a whole hundreds and hundreds of the other one. I didn't know there was going to be a new, better line coming out.
I've had these for a couple of years now.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and that's for the PSA, the Beckett, SCG, and because the PSA is basically the same size as the what are the other ones there?
CGC.
Yeah, those ones and the other ones there.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Because the 401s will fit these, so obviously I'm going to promote them as 1401s and 1201s.
Nice. Very good. And I do want to mention something. Alan talked about that little bubble, when you fold it over. Greg is owed a lot of credit here because I don't know. I mean, we just naturally do this. You know where I'm going with this, Greg. We always would stick bottom in first and fold the flap over the top. That's what we just did growing up. Greg's like, no. You got to go upside down and then fold it over the back on the bottom. And I was like, dude, you've changed my life. Greg, did you like always do that, or was there a moment where you're like, all right, that was it, I got to do it?
So I can't take credit for that. I think somebody did that, and I thought that's a genius. Like, why are we putting the top on the top? We should put the top on the bottom, and then that way you have a clear plastic sleeve on the top, and then the tapered edge is on the bottom, which we don't care about.
And on the back.
Right.
And that's where the dust can come in. So yeah. And for me, because I didn't like the curl, right? So I put it on the bottom, and then the curl's on the bottom, and it presses against the other cards, and then it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's
all mine are on the bottom now.
My collection, I think I asked you guys this, and I'll probably ask the Facebook group that we all talk to about for low end cards, like whether you should put them in binders or in top loaders. I think I've already gone, especially for my Fleer Ultra low end set. I think I'm going to put them in top loaders and use the Perfect Fit sleeves because I just like how they look and feel when they come out of the box. They're nice. They feel slabby.
Especially that nice rigid edge on both sides. You know what I mean? But it's also too. It's so funny. I've gotten some in the mail where people do the flap over the front of the card. I'm like, well, what you do? You're blocking the best part of the card.
Well, you do know that. Well, for the graded cards, I measured them so that the seal, if you do fold them over on the top, that the seal, the seal is in between the label and the card, right? Whereas if you're folding them over on here, your seal is going to be covering part of your card, right?
Right. Well, that's awesome.
But for top loaders, it's not a big deal, right? And it's a good idea because then the dust is never going to get into your top loader ever. Even if there's a little gap here or what have you, no dust is going to get in there.
Right. And that's a big thing for us because we'll all pull out our top loaders and there'll be little dust sprinkles. But now it doesn't exist. It's not an issue anymore.
Dust is my greatest enemy. I'm super particular about these little things, and it saved the day. But we have somebody who's great minds. Jay Jablonski says, "Keep up the good work, SFI." I use penny sleeve. I do top loader, me as well. SFI top loader sleeve, yes. And top loader binder, which I don't know what that is, for 4 layers of protection. Normal team bags don't work with the binder. The Superior Fit solution makes it look great.
There you go.
And I want to say, I don't use these, but I've seen the Superior Fit sleeves for individual cards. So you, instead of penny sleeves, use those. And I have gotten a couple of those. I mean, those are perfect for binders because, just if you buy a penny sleeve, it kind of bubbles up in the binder in the page, but his they're perfect. They're perfect. They're superior for the binder for sure.
Actually, I recommend that you put the card in upside down and seal it at the bottom, and then put it in your binder sleeve. And I've actually got a video where I showed that once they're in the sleeve in the page, and you shake the page, those things aren't coming out because of that extra thickness because of the flap. It's holding it into the
That's so cool.
Pocket.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I also the Bill, the Hall of Fame collector, says I hate it when a hair finds it there. No question about it.
See that?
Really hair. But either way, I hate it when it's in there. And I've never seen the video that you're talking about, but I have to look at that because I had already decided on top loader over binder. But now that you're telling me there's another solution, I have to look
Oh
at that.
yeah, if you seal your card just like you've been saying on the bottom, slip them into the pocket, and you go like this with your page. They're not coming out.
That's awesome.
I don't know about you guys, man, but I just think it's amazing. That was like one shot and he got it right. Like, I can't think of any entrepreneur that would be like, because if we three tried to do these sleeves, we'd get them like a millimeter too wide, too short. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's amazing how you hit the nail right on the head the first time with everything. I mean, that says a lot about your attention to detail. And out of all of us, Alan is the most excited about that. I know that because if you watch one of his videos, he will find the speck of dust on the card that's not supposed to be there. So yeah, that's awesome to hear.
That's a good question about the blue tint. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that. How about you guys?
We don't have an answer either, but I mean, I just was wondering if anybody had ever asked you if you would ever consider putting a UV protection layer on your sleeves, because.
Well, I've looked into that, and the factories don't really know what I mean.
Possible, right? I mean, not on a soft sleeve.
It's possible, but it's another process, right?
I bet.
All right. I'm guessing it would be more expensive as well.
Oh yeah, it'd be more expensive. I mean,
I'll pay for it for my autograph.
not astronomically, but
Especially for the graded sleeves, though, I find like people would probably be willing to pay the extra for the graded stuff to be slabbed up or to be protected from the sun. Go ahead, Greg.
I'm gonna look into that again some more. I haven't gotten any straight answers from the factories. Maybe if I contacted the U.S. factories, they'd be more
amenable.
Yeah. But,
I think UV that I don't know. Personally, just seeing the UV gives me a little bit of peace of mind. ProMold offers their magnetics, which is 5-year UV protection. So I think in my head, okay, in 5 years, I'll change this card out into a new magnetic. But knowing that my sleeves have that, I think that would be something that people would be interested in buying because they would have some extra UV protection.
It would be a game changer for me. I almost don't care how much more it costs. There's a lot of money in the hobby now. So if you actually release a super high-end line, especially for those PSA cases, people would pay whatever it is you charged. I would, because we want to protect autographs, for example. Autographs fade. UV is the enemy of those pens. And like Greg was saying, I didn't mean to cut him off. I mean, the solution for hard cases is you have to switch those out every 5 years because the UV protection fades. If you can find a way to get it on the soft sleeve, then you can just switch it out as is necessary, and have continuing renewed protection, at least peace of mind, for collectors. It would be huge for a collector.
It's a lot more affordable in the long run because replacing a one touch is a lot more expensive than replacing a sleeve.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I will. I'll put that on my list.
Awesome.
I think buying a 50 pack of UV protection sleeves, I would be very receptive to in changing those out, which obviously is revenue, but it's something that I would feel good about switching those out every couple of years just for that extra UV protection, because I do have stuff that I want to protect that I feel is susceptible to sunlight. So having those sleeves would be good.
So as far as your collection is concerned, is it like out in the sun like all the time?
No, but
only mine is.
Yeah, so I put random stuff out and I just sit it on my desk, but I have a window that gets sunlight. So I noticed I have a Frank Thomas that has been subjected to the sun, and the autograph is not, it's faded a little bit. It's not as, so I'm like super upset about it.
The case itself didn't protect it.
No, it did, and it was in something similar to this, which I don't have any kind of sleeve for it. It's a booklet. So the case, it's been here for 1 year approximately, because I've been in this house for a little over a year. And so this window it's been 1 year, and my autograph is now faded over 1 year time.
Really faded.
Yeah.
But I've experienced it too. So, and it's a bad feeling, man. It is.
Yeah.
Because you spend the money you do for an autograph. It's a bad feeling.
So
Autograph was crisp when you got it, right?
It was absolutely blue.
And so that's not even sunlight. That's just
Ambient light.
Ambient light. Yeah.
Yeah, ambient light and sunlight. It's been a combination of both. But
Oh,
1 year time, my autograph is faded. So if I have some type of sleeve that helps that, or obviously I can do my own due diligence by putting the blinds down, but just having some type of sleeve that at least gives me peace of mind or actually does something, I think that's a good thing collectors would be interested in.
The question is you get these factories and they say, oh yeah, it's UV. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's a way to test it or what have you. Even the cases,
Right.
Who
Well, I
knows?
mean, I would do it too, though. I mean, I don't like having sleeves on my pro molds out there on display, but like Greg said, like even though they might not display that much better, to have that extra sleeve on there, extra layer of protection, it's nice to have some of the autograph cards and
I'd have to
viewable
look.
out there.
I'd have to look to see if there's a way to actually know if the sleeves or a case is UV protected.
Yeah.
Is there a way to test that, right?
Yeah.
Because if I say to the factory, okay, I want UV protected sleeves. They say, okay, we'll make those, and they send me a batch, and then I get them here, and they look exactly like what I'm already, selling.
Mhm.
How do you know? So is there a way to? Is there a service that can check that out?
Also, a thought here is you buy two autographs of the same card, two Frank Thomas autographs from the same set. You put one in your case, and then
So you
put
got
one.
a year experiment.
Yeah.
How about not Frank Thomas? How about like Bob Smith, who's never played an inning in the MLB?
All right, let's say Rico Bronya.
There we go. Sorry,
And so
Rico.
you take Rico Bronya, you get two autographs, one in a case, one in a case with the sleeve, and you put them in the sun side by side, and you just see. Obviously, this is a long experiment, but it's I don't know of another way to perfectly test this.
Sorry, Greg, I had to, man. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm looking up online right now. Like, if you want to see whether that little UV sticker on your sunglasses is actually giving you UV protection, you can take it to your optician, and they have tools at their disposal which can check the UV protection for you. So that's
really?
Is an optician, an optician potentially.
Cool.
And then the other way to do it would be to purchase your own UV light, shine the light beam at paper money or a credit card to reveal the built-in security elements. There's a strip in the American dollar, which lights up from UV light, and they'll illuminate and glow when exposed to true UV. So you can compare the brightness of that strip through regular sleeves and through UV sleeves.
Right. There'd be a difference if it was UV protection or not. Okay. Awesome.
So there's a UV light.
Yeah, you could just buy a UV light on any, outlet. Shine it through both of them and see if there's you should be able to see it. I mean, if you can't see the difference with your naked eye, then it's offering almost.
What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, the UV light is designed. Those strips on the American dollar are designed to light up and glow when you shine UV light on them. So if you shine UV light through a regular sleeve, it should just glow regular purple or whatever color it is. But if you use a sleeve that is UV protected, supposedly it shouldn't light up nearly as much or at all. So that would be the way you could tell whether it was screening UV light.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Awesome.
So
Well,
options. You got options.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. We've given him some homework, man. I like it. I'm all for this. No, but it's just one of those deals.
We check this case. What do you guys think if we did a case like this?
So what is it? HGA, hybrid grading. They do the side sleeve, the horizontal cases,
Right.
and I think that is a good idea because a lot of people, have cases or the cards that go horizontal versus vertical, and they want they want to be able to showcase it. So I think that is a good idea. I like it personally. A lot of people are warming up to the horizontal cases, but I do like it just because it's a way to showcase the card without having the weird label on the side of it.
On
So
the end.
I am receptive to that idea. I liked it when I saw it from the grading company.
And I like the bigger labeled area too, because you can really have some fun with that, as far as designing your
Well,
own
if I was
custom
to
labels.
do the labels, if I was to do those in snap form, I wouldn't have the label that big.
Okay, you'd have some room for it to still be the same as
It'd
this
be
right
the
here.
same size as
Okay.
the horizontal or vertical.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, well,
Any just throw this out here to everybody. If everybody's watching, we're gonna wrap it up here soon. But if you have any other questions or comments or celebrations or anything you want to share with Richard before he goes, this is the time to throw it up there. Alan, Greg, do either of you guys have a question still on your brains?
Yeah, like what's next? What are you planning for us? Like what do you have in store?
well, sort of like 3x5.
It's coming. That's coming. UV protected sleeves.
UV protection. I'm going to
I like it.
move into that
Awesome.
a little more. Interestingly enough, I was actually going to get myself a machine and actually start manufacturing the sleeves themselves, which is a big venture.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I tried sourcing out the material. And believe it or not, it's a hard thing to source.
Wow.
And so I dropped the whole idea. If I was in my 30s or 40s, I'd have a plant. Right.
Well,
But
the thing,
I'm not in my
Yeah.
30s, 40s.
yeah, well, exactly. There's so much goodwill right now from the hobby. Everybody here wants you to succeed because we all love your product. So this is one of the examples here. The Chinner says, have you ever thought about setting up a display at a local or bigger card show, something at the national? Because
That would be awesome.
sort of pervasive as your product is in the hobby, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's many corners of the hobby that still haven't discovered it. And
Right.
we want you to be fabulously successful because that just means more good product for us going forward. So have you ever
So
thought
which one of you would like to set up a table at the Nationals?
All of us.
we're going to
All
be at the
three of us.
national next year, so if you need somebody to represent you, we'd be happy to.
Well,
So-
I very much am interested in that
Okay.
That could be fun.
because I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not allowed in the U.S. and
Oh, wow.
only because I was a silly teenager and unbelievably they still think that somehow between then and now I guess I've been a career criminal the whole time, and so they don't want to let me in. But anyway,
only criminally awesome at making perfect fit sleeves. That's
yeah,
all.
right.
Yeah,
But-
the United States has been chasing him for years.
Oh, there you go.
You don't know where I live.
But I mean, I didn't really have to announce that, but anyway.
Well, now people won't wonder why,
Well,
so we
now
can
yeah.
answer.
he knows
Well,
that
that's
you're in Canada.
I would have loved to been able to go to the nationals and just set up a big banner and I'd probably be at least 25% bigger than I am
Yeah.
now.
Toronto Expo too, right? Toronto Expo is another possibility.
Yeah, Toronto Expo, they're pretty expensive, and they're a long ways away from me too.
Wow.
They're like
but those hockey card collectors would eat that stuff up. I know they would, for sure.
Believe it or not, 95% of my sales is the U.S.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and 5% is the rest of the world.
Interesting.
I'm from that. Yeah. I mean, good hockey collecting friend of mine who's in Canada says all he uses is your products, and we've been trying to spread the word to our friends on Instagram, and it's I'm surprised it hasn't caught on more. To be honest with you,
I'm not sure the reason. It might be the price, because I do sell in U.S. dollars, and shipping is ridiculous in Canada.
It is.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. I can send a bundle of card sleeves for what, $8.95 or $9.95, like a $300 or $200 order to Florida for $9.95 from Sumas, USPS. And that same thing would cost like $35.
Yeah.
Canadian to ship to Toronto.
And
a little package, right? What, about $3.45, $4, $4.15 from Sumas to Florida with tracking. And in Canada it's $18.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous.
That explains that.
And it's more. It's more. Canada actually has added, a fuel tax. So on top of the postage fee, it's like $5.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, setting up at a show might be the solution to that, but you'd have to bring a lot of product with you in case it caught on.
Well, it's all a matter of trust, right? I've been thinking about who do I trust. I got a friend that I was thinking of sending, or if I can find somebody that that I can totally trust, I set them up.
Well, we should talk offline. That's a good idea, but do we have any more comments coming in from the crowd, or?
Well, I wanted to know, you said you didn't really collect cards. Is there anything you collect? Is there anything?
Oh, yeah. I'll show you.
There is. It was pretty cool to see. You guys are gonna like it.
We gotta hear from I Collect Ichiro. Has anyone or company ever approached you about buying Superior Fit? Well, I don't know.
Are we going to set up a booth and sell SF5?
Yeah, I know.
At the minimum, I'd be happy to just let people know about it, right? I mean, we were thinking about setting up anyway. It was just a showcase of stuff that.
Right. I told Matt, I'm just going to show my PMDs, but we could sell Superior Fit.
It's not really selling it; it's marketing it, right? I mean, that's a huge difference.
I'm like, here's my berry. Here's my salmon. Here's my frank. But I'm selling sleeves.
How many people would be like, "Hey, is that Flurry for sale right there?" No, it's just for display purposes. Look at the sleeve that it says. Look at that. Is that Bond's Eccentric Edition? No, it's not. And Alan, you, by the way, if we did that, you cannot bring the one back to the national. That would curse that card forever.
Any card that you would not want sold, you cannot bring it because somebody's going to offer you a price for it that you're going to have trouble saying no to, and you're going to lose the card.
I'm bringing all my base cards, man.
All right.
There you go.
Wow.
HO slot cars.
We got some cars.
AFX, Tyco.
Wow.
I have a collection of about 4,000 cars.
Wow. Is that a major one? Is that a major car right there? Like an important one?
It's a medium of the road.
Okay.
So this is your bread and butter right here, the cars.
Here's a Tyco.
Wow.
And that's a stomper. That's a hard one to get a hold of.
Wow.
And there's a pretty big market for these too, right?
Well, the collectors are crazy for these.
Yeah. So are you getting these on eBay? Are you local?
I have a collection. I'm not buying anymore. I sell.
Okay.
I'm selling doubles, triples, and what have you.
Yeah. And are you selling on eBay? Is that, I'm assuming?
No, I don't sell on eBay. I
Okay.
don't sell anything on eBay. Actually, I have live auctions on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Where can we find these cards at on Facebook?
That was the one that
Sweet,
just
I really like that one. That's a Shelby Roaster. Yeah. God, how
From the 60s?
So where do I go on Facebook to find these auctions?
well, if you want to go to my Facebook page, it's Cool Tiny Wheels.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, look it up.
There it
Yep,
is right
here it
there.
is.
Yep.
There
Okay.
it is.
Perfect.
How'd you find that?
I'm fast. Yeah.
Cool tiny wheels.
Lines.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's where we can go to find these tiny cars. I'm excited.
Why are you a collector?
I will want to buy some of these. I don't have any, but I will start.
And he even has Formula One cars, and he showed me some pictures of them. I'm like, oh, I'm tempted, man.
If you
to have
keep scrolling down, you can find them.
Oh, and I like all the photo setups. That's
That's
they
awesome.
are. See, look at all those. So cool. He had like an Ayrton Senna. He had a Niki Lauda Ferrari. Yeah.
So we had a question pop up. Can you make baseball cube sleeves, displays, Hot Wheel display cases?
Hey, you can make sleeves for anything, and that's the beauty of Superior Fit Innovations. That's why I didn't call it Superior Fit Sleeves. I called it Superior Fit Innovations,
Because you can do anything.
and that encompasses everything. Anything that needs a sleeve can be made by Superior Fit. Well, I
Awesome.
shouldn't say can be, it could be.
Could be.
So I mean, Superior Fit. It's just hitting the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it's a company that could grow
Yeah.
tremendously.
You go where the flow needs you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Though, like I said, I'm not a young buck. But if some young bucks one day get a hold of this company, they could make a really good thing happening. And I know somebody along the way, they even asked if anybody's come along to ask if I wanted to sell it.
Yeah.
And at the time, no. I haven't had anybody recently, but there was a while back when some guys were asking.
So what's your age? You're calling it quits. What age are you saying, you know what? I'm ready to pass along.
Oh, I don't know. It is a corporation, so it's an interesting dilemma that I'm in, because
Okay.
a corporation is a good way to keep your money. It's like a 401k, right?
Yeah.
Which we don't call them that, but that's what you guys call them. We call them what do we call them? Pension plans.
Okay. So right now you have no intention of selling out, calling it quits. You're going to be in this for a good run.
For a good run,
Okay.
unless things change health wise or what have you.
Okay.
But if somebody came along and offered me the right buck,
Every put together price.
that's a possibility too.
We
I'd love
say that.
I'd love to see somebody who just is totally into it. Not so much just for the money, but somebody who loves the hobby and knows what how the hobby can benefit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then they can branch off to other things. I mean, you can make sleeves for Nintendo games and
Anything.
anything, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I have to say that, hopefully speaking for all of us here, that we all can tell that you weren't about the money from the beginning of when we found your products. You send us those samples and you're easy to communicate with, and you definitely, are doing it because you enjoy it. You enjoy supporting the hobby, not just making a buck. So definitely want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely. I actually, people tell me, "Oh, don't work so hard." I said, "Well, I don't work at all." This is a hobby. I mean, my hobby is doing exactly what I'm doing, right?
Awesome.
And then my collection is my slot cars.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Perfect setup. That's a perfect setup.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Well,
Living the American dream in Canada.
thank you. We live vicariously through you then, huh?
There you go.
Alan, any closing comments on your end before we head off?
Well, I just think it was a treat. You go to a card show nowadays, there's a lot of corporate displays and setups, and a lot of it seems impersonal. And a lot of it is, I mean, everybody needs to make a living, and I have a lot of respect for entrepreneurship and wanting to bring value in order to get value. But it is really rewarding to talk to somebody who went out of their way and sort of did something so disruptive to the industry, created a product that I use every day when I'm dealing with cards. It's just a real treat. So thank you for taking the time to come on with us. It was a real pleasure getting to sort of pick your brain a little bit.
Well, I appreciate you guys inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell my side of the story. There's always two sides.
We're gonna roll with this side and call it good.
Okay.
Greg, any closing comments on your end, bud?
Yeah, just what Alan said. I really, I use your product on a daily basis. I receive it on a daily basis. So it's very nice to pick your brain and ask you the questions and just learn a little bit about the company, because, when you use something so often, you tend to just want to know more about it. So it's just really nice to get to ask you a few questions, and like I say, pick your brain about all of the things that you've invested in and the decisions you made. So I really appreciate you being on here to answer our questions and just to let us know more about your product.
My pleasure.
Richard, if anybody would like to get in contact with you in any way, what's the best way to do that?
Email.
Hop on the
website. Yeah.
Right. All right. Perfect. And you're also on Facebook. You're on Instagram as well, which is awesome. I was happy to see that. So
Yes, on both. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for hopping in here with us. We had a great time talking to Richard. Superior Fit Innovations. Go check it out. We love them. You're gonna see them on our videos a lot. You probably already have. If you watch Greg's most recent video, all of his cards were in them. So check it out, and we will catch you in 3 weeks. It sounds like. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Buy some little cars.